Hello and welcome to the incredibly influential and highly successful podcast. My name is Kael, and I'm incredibly influential, and I'm finally back. I know you guys had to suffer through an episode without me, but I'm back.
I don't know if I would say suffer. By the way, I'm Danny. I'm highly successful. But yeah, I wouldn't say suffer, Kale. Don't worry. I feel like we had a good time. Good break.
I'm Maxwell. I'm also highly successful, by the way.
Um, we had an idea for a gimmick, which was that they were gonna do kind of like it was last week. They're gonna be like, yeah, Kale's gone again, and then after a couple minutes, I was gonna join in and be like, what the fuck are you guys doing? But I didn't, yeah. But I'm eating my Froot Loops, so I'm gonna
We
eat
were
my
s-
Froot Loops on the podcast.
we
Fuck
were
you.
spared of that.
It would have been a funny gimmick. Come on.
I don't think I
So now I'm eating
appreciate
Froot
the lack
Loops.
of Fruit Loops that you have for us, though.
Sucks to suck.
Yeah,
I love
where's
Froot
my
Loops.
Fruit Loops?
Yeah, sharing is caring. You know.
Sharing is communism. That's what that shit is. Disgusting. Disgusting. Fucking hate communism. I love having these Fruit Loops all to myself. So yummy. Mmm. Mm-mm. Mm.
Why does sharing Fruit Loops with us have to be communist?
Because how am I profiting? What's my profit motive?
I don't know if everything has to be, necessarily profit motivated, but
That sounds like something a communist would say.
not necessarily a communist, but I feel like I don't know. I feel like if everything's profit motivated, that's not it's kind of not ideal.
Yeah, I'm not motivated by profit, but I just happen to be in a profitable position. But like my purpose is to do something else.
Your purpose is communism. I'm gonna slurp the cereal on the mic. You guys are gonna hear it. It's gonna be miserable. I love it. This is what you get. This is. I know you missed me so much. You guys ready for this?
All right,
Here we
Danny,
go.
what are we going to talk about while
It's cereal
Kale
time.
tries to disrupt the podcast
Oh,
with his,
if you say so,
you know,
man.
eating cereal? Danny, what is an order of business you would like to talk about?
Well, that party is still happening in a couple days. I got a
Nice.
haircut today, which I
Ooh,
I
that's
like the
awesome.
haircut. I think it's gonna be nice to be back to short hair. I think you follow me on Instagram, Max. So maybe you've seen my hair in recent
Yeah,
posts.
I got pretty
It's
long.
it did get pretty long, but now we're getting back to like closer to to the length that it was before, which I think it's gonna be a little bit nicer because I think long hair definitely had some potential, but it's a lot and
All right, time to talk about me time. Here we go. All right.
I feel it.
I'm sure you guys were
Nice.
wondering
I'm glad you
where
got a
I
haircut.
was. I'm sure you all were wondering where I was for the last week. Actually, I literally said where I was going.
That's great. We don't have to talk
Um,
about it then. All right. So,
all
Max,
right.
what do you
So
want to talk
here's
about?
here's where I'm going. So
Hmm.
here's where I went. Um last week, what was it? Wasn't it like the day after we recorded last week's podcast, or the week before's podcast?
Funny enough, I
Um,
don't want to talk about that.
I went on my flight. Right, I went down to the. All right, so I took the train up, to Chicago, and then I took the train next to the train station to get to the airport, and then I flew down to Orlando, and man, we landed like pretty late. It was pretty late. I was very tired, so I hit the hay. We woke up pretty early the next morning too, because we had like kind of here's the thing that really like pisses me off, right? uh, when you're flying from Orlando to St. Martin, you have to have a connection in Miami for some reason, which doesn't make any sense. But we did that. We were in Miami for a little while, and we were in the lounge because we were flying first class on an international flight, so that's included. So we were we were there. We were hanging out in the lounge, and and then we flew down. We went to St. Martin, and I had not been since the hurricane happened in 2017. And oh boy, they have not recovered well. It's been like 7 years, but they have not recovered well at all. Like, the resort that we stayed at is like fully recovered, which is nice, but like, man, everything else is just absolutely not great. There was like stray dogs everywhere. The roads were really crappier than usual.
Yeah, well, do you think that's the fault of the people, or do you think that's a problem that's systemic?
I mean,
Mm,
it's their island doesn't make enough money for their host government. It is a tax. It is a net deficit for both France and the Netherlands, because it's one of the only islands that is like split between two countries in the Caribbean. So the north, I would say 3/4 is owned by France, and the maybe it's more like 2/3, but the south uh, uh, third is owned by the Netherlands, and um, like there are like some like nice neighborhoods, and like some nice places, but like overall, like French and the Netherlands side, it's both like overall just like they did not recover very well, and even before the hurricane, it's just not very like it doesn't make a lot of profits for France or for the Netherlands because there's not really any resources there. Like when they were founded, people were making sugar and people were making um there's like a big salt pond in the middle of the capital, which is in the Dutch Quarter, and they they used to mine salt out of it, but obviously there's like way more efficient ways to get salt now. So with no salt and not really any sugar, the main export is tourism, and it's tourism is nice, but it's not like covering enough. There's like 80,000 people who live there, and St. Martin is not the most popular tourism place. So it's kind of like not making its money back. So in order to like make its money back, it has to be appealing as a tourist spot. So they gotta work on their marketing. you know
Well,
but anyhow,
maybe it's kind of unfortunate that they don't have another source of income, and that they are so dependent on tourism because there's no domestic form of income for them.
well, yeah, the island is like 9 miles by 6 miles, and 80,000 people live on it, and I would say the majority, if you look at the map, the majority of it is like mountains, not like mountains, but like by definition they're like large hills. So not sorry, excuse me. But yeah, like the majority of it is just it's large hills because it's a volcanic island, right? It was like created. Jeez, I need some water. Hang on. You guys talk amongst yourselves. I need some water.
Oh
uh,
my God.
that's a little excessive. How you doing, Max? You have any things that you want to talk about?
Um, well, I'm very excited to start my school next week.
Okay, I'm back.
I'm gonna
Um,
meet some of my students tomorrow, I think, at an event. So I'm very excited about that.
okay,
Uh,
that
okay.
is cool, Maxwell.
I
Um,
also built a Model U wing.
that's actually really cool.
Model U. That sounds Pretty nice. Pretty
Yeah.
nice.
If you'd like to send photos, send them to the group chat and I'll post them on Twitter. Or not Twitter, Threads.
X.
And Instagram. No, shut the fuck up. Do not call it
Post-
X. I will boot you
Post
from
it
this
on
call.
X.
I will absolutely boot you from this fucking call.
First of all, it's called X.
Sounds tyrannical.
It is very tyrannical.
I am a tyrant.
How
I'm a
could you
better
boot
tyrant
me?
than Elon Musk is. Okay.
How,
Would
how-
you rather live under the tyranny of Elon Musk, the tyranny of King Musk, or my brand of tyranny? I can assure you, I'm a hell of a lot more competent. So, if that doesn't earn your vote, you're kind of a lost cause. But anywho, there really isn't like anything that they can do on that island other than tourism. You can't like bring any factories over there because they already have houses in like all the room where you could make a factory. There's not really any natural resources to be, like used. The only thing they really have is tourism, and people have to actually like go there. And before I went for the first time when I was a kid, I had no idea where St. Martin was. I knew Mexico. I'd been to Mexico a couple times, but I knew where Mexico was even before I was like went there for the first time, and I was like 4, But St. Martin is this one tiny island in a bunch of tiny islands that is not very popular, and that is to its detriment. So just about all of the Caribbean islands are net losses for the countries that own them, for the governments that they're a part of, and it sucks. It really does. But at the end of the day, the people live there. You can't like force them out to make more industry to make these islands more profitable.
Wow, that's a terrible way of talking about people. It's like, where are they supposed to live? They're people,
Yeah. And that's the problem. Every square inch.
Yeah, you're treating people like money. And you're like, well, if they don't make money on the land they're living on, then they should be expunged from it.
I'm saying if they don't make enough money, they can't rebuild after the hurricanes, and it's not going to be another 7 years before the next hurricane comes and hits it. It's going to be, I reckon we're probably going to be seeing one in the next, let's say by the end of 2025, I think we're going to see a big one that hits the Caribbean. And they're still not all the way recovered from Hurricane Irma 7 years ago. And so I don't think they're going to be able to recover from this. And the way they would recover from this is making money. But unfortunately, they can't bring in any tax dollars because the only export they have is tourism. And so the only way that they could make more exports is to get rid of the very limited real estate that's already built up around it. The only real estate that is viable to build factories or offices or anything like that has already been taken up. So unless you are like very radically, unless there is like some kind of exodus from the island of like all these people, or if they, you can't build anything on it.
Well, maybe it's because tourism has sucked up all of the ways of making money on the island, that people cannot make money there because all of the economy is consolidated to tourism.
What, pray tell, do you think could be built there instead? I don't think you're familiar with St. Martin. You haven't been. You don't know what it's like.
I'm just saying that there's probably a better alternative than taking the people away from the island who live there.
If you temporarily moved them someplace else, used the opportunity to remove some of the single family housing, because a lot of it is single family housing. If you built higher density housing, which could house more people, and clear up some real estate for businesses, offices, that sort of thing, maybe you would be able to actually get some GDP from something other than tourism. But every square inch of viable real estate is already used up. and there's not really anywhere for these homes to go or the people in them. You do not understand. You live in the United States where like 93% of all our land is undeveloped. 93%. Even if you go to Europe, it's still like 60% is undeveloped. There is the only undeveloped land on St. Martin is the mountains, which you couldn't build any form of like industry on anyway. That's the problem. They don't have any natural resources to export, so the only thing they can do without kicking out 80,000 people, without radically restructuring the housing situation of 80,000 people, is tourism.
I think it's absurd though, just because it feels like that doesn't encompass the people there and what they want, because like all this conversation excludes what the people on that island might actually want for their
The
place.
people on that island want more people to visit because that's the only way they make their money. That's every single ounce of it. Or sorry. I will say there's tourism and there is a university on it that has some foreign people, but a lot of it is just like domestic students. But like some foreign people go and use the university, and that pays money back into the school. But the vast majority, the vast majority of the St. Martinois economy is tourism, because there's physically no other way that you could extract any GDP from it. There's nothing to mine. There's nothing to grow. That's it. It's tourism.
I don't know. Can we move on from where you visited? This is kind of like derailed.
So the roads were pretty whatever, but we made it to the resort, but like I said, there's a lot of stray dogs, and yeah, so and they're all like super nice. Like none of them are like rabid or anything. They're all super friendly little puppies, but they're just stray. Some of them have collars, so maybe they're not stray. It's just like they just let them kind of walk around, do their own thing. But yeah, that was something. There was a lot of that, so you have to be very careful when you drive down there, in case you all are thinking about going. And then when we went down there, like a lot of our plans were like weather dependent, and we got hit by like the tail end of like a tropical storm, which really like churned up the visibility. So we couldn't do any snuba. There was one day when no, snuba. It's like snorkeling scuba, right? It's like there's a hose. You kind of wear something that's like a little bubble on your head that like is attached to a hose that goes up to the surface. So like you don't have to come up to the surface like snorkeling, but it's basically just like a big snorkel. And so we weren't able to do that, sadly. Just because like we couldn't really like see anything. And then but we did go to a lot of restaurants. Holy shit, we went to a lot of restaurants, and they were all really good. I don't think I had a bad dinner there. It was awesome. There's a lot of like French food because the majority of the island is owned by the French. So it was fucking awesome. We went to, I would say my favorite place is, we went to this place called L'Auberge Gourmand. It was basically like the eggplant gourmand, which was really, really, really good. I think it was the first dinner we went to. And it was amazing. It was fucking awesome. And we also went to this place called Melange. And the two restaurants in the resort that we were in were really good. I'm blanking on wherever else we went to, food wise, but everything we ate was really good. And then we also went to, also I think Maxwell disappeared. Hang on, we'll be back.
I'm here.
Oh, I think Danny disappeared. This is why you guys need to stop naming each other the same thing.
Oh.
All right. We've got Danny back. But anywho, the eating was all good. Danny, you'll just have to listen to the episode when it comes out to hear whatever you missed. But yeah, the eating was all good. And then for entertainment, mostly we were just kind of at the resort, pool, nap time, and then dinner. That was most days. But one time we did actually go on a nice little sunset cruise on this big like catamaran. Um it was the Virgin Fire. That's the name. So if you're ever down in St. Martin, the Virgin Fire. That was the name. It was awesome. It was great. Um and we were just there, and then we went and we had dinner, and I think that was our last night. No. Yeah. It was our last night, and then we went and we ate at the really fancy restaurant at the resort, and then we packed up our shit, and then in the morning we left, and that's when the trouble started. So, it started out mild. We go back to the airport, and there's 2 floors at the airport, right? There's the top floor, not on the ground. The planes connect via jetway. You guys have flown on planes before. You know what a jetway is. But the bottom floor got destroyed by the hurricane, and it's not connected by jetways, so everyone has to take a bus. If you're on the bottom floor, you have to take a bus out to where your plane is, and it's like the most busy part of the airport. So it's like super cramped because of all the construction they're doing, and it's super busy, and we had to wait for buses, and the air conditioning wasn't working very well. Neither were the speakers. So, like, we could not hear anything. We were super hot. We were standing in this big line because, like, 30 people out of a 180 person flight were, like, getting put on by bus every time. So luckily, we did eventually hear that they were boarding, like, the first class people on the bus first. So we kind of made our way through, and we got on. But, like, up until then, it was pretty bad. Then we went back to Miami, and Miami to Orlando worked out pretty okay. We didn't have too much time in the lounge. But all the lounge food was also really good. Whether it was like American Lounge or the United Lounge, all the food was pretty good. And it better be for fucking $60 a day. But we make it to Orlando. It's like 11 p.m. when we land. I'm waking up at 7, so it takes us like forever to get to the hotel. We're so tired because I'd been up since like 6 a.m. That like my parents and I both got separate rooms, so we got in and we just said goodbye in the lobby, and we went up there, and I went the fuck to sleep because I had to be up earlier than them. So I got up at a little before 7, got in my Uber, and I got to the airport, the Orlando airport, at 7:20. I want you all to remember that time. 7:20. You guys hear that? Can I hear it back from you guys?
7:20.
7:20. Danny, can I hear it from you?
17,
Dead meme.
38.
That meme is almost 10 years old, you guys. Fuck me. Wow. Next year that meme is going to be 10 years old. But yeah, so I get out of the Uber at 7:20. I have TSA pre-check, make it through, make it to my gate, no problem. And then they start delaying my flight because United Airlines can't keep good care of their toys. So the plane is busted for some reason. I still don't know what it was mechanically that fucked up, but something fucked up mechanically. So they delayed us for an hour. So it was initially supposed to take off at 9:30. They delayed us till 10, then to 11, and then until 12. And once they said that it was delayed until 12, they fully fucking canceled it. And my classes started Monday. So this was on Sunday. And I had a train ticket. I was supposed to land in Chicago by like 11 a.m. our time. And I was, my main worry was like, oh, what am I going to do? I'm bringing a suitcase and a big heavy backpack. What am I going to do for like like 3 or 4 hours in the city where like I can keep track of my stuff but still not be bored, right? I didn't have to fucking worry about that. So they canceled my flight. And the next closest one that they could get me on took off at 7 p.m. So 12 hours in the fucking airport, even though I could literally see across the terminal, like across the end of the terminal, in the same fucking room as us, there was a flight that was taking off at 12:46 p.m. to go straight back to Chicago. But instead, they booked us on a flight that went from from Orlando to Washington Dulles, and then from Washington Dulles up to O'Hare. And so I was like, well, I'm completely fucked. I'm leaving after my train ticket, so I have to rearrange my train ticket to be in the morning, right? And then I have to. So I go up to the lounge and I spend literally like 8 hours in the lounge doing fuck all because fucking United are idiots and can't take care of their toys. But eventually I board my fucking plane, and it was at this point that they said, oh, by the way, there's a ground stop in Washington Dulles because they're getting some bad weather. So we can't take off for another hour. So we are sitting on this plane for a fucking hour waiting for the weather to clear up at Washington Dulles. But eventually we fucking take off at 8. So that's over 12 hours in one day that I spent at fucking Orlando Airport. So I'm already fucking pissed, right? But they rebooked me on a flight, and they gave me first class on the plane to Washington Dulles, which, fair enough. I fucking paid for it. So, yeah, you at least gave me that. And, then we land at Washington Dulles, and we sit on the tarmac for another fucking hour because they can't figure out how. Oh my God. So United fucked up, but this was Washington Dulles' fault. So basically the problem is, in order to take off, a flight has a mandated legal number of flight attendants that has to be on board. I think it's 4. There has to be at least 4 flight attendants on the plane in order for it to be able to go, right? So planes are all landing at Washington Dulles now that the weather's clear, but all the gates are full and they're not taking off because they don't have any flight attendants. So we're all sitting on the tarmac with our flight attendants in our planes, but the planes aren't taking off, so the gates are all full, so we can't come in and offload our fucking flight attendants. And apparently, nobody at Washington Dulles has the bright fucking idea of opening the door of the fucking plane sitting on the tarmac, driving the flight attendants to the gates, putting the flight attendants on the planes and taking off, so that way we can fucking bring our planes up to the gates and deplane and get everyone off, so that way the next flights can take off and go back to fucking business as usual. Apparently, nobody has the brain cells for that. But what I did find out is that the dumb son of a bitch in charge of the Washington Dulles Airport is John E. Potter. He is in charge of the MWAA. He is the president of the MWAA, which is the Metropolitan Washington Airport Administration. And he is selected by a board that is partially people selected from Maryland, the Maryland government, people selected from the Virginia government, and then there's some that are selected by the national government, selected by the president. So if you are ever planning on flying anywhere in the fucking world, because you might get fucking rerouted to Washington Dulles because United doesn't know how to take care of their fucking toys. If you are ever flying any of those, you need to get on the ballot and make sure that the people that whoever fucking wins the presidency, call the president, send letters to the president and say, John E. Potter needs to go in this next cycle. Whoever wins, either Kamala or Trump. I'm not going to say any of the other candidates because they're not going to fucking win. But either Kamala or Trump, you need to write to them and you need to say, hey, this John E. Potter guy doesn't work for your MWAA. Get rid of him. Sack him. Fire him. have him suck dick for nickels behind a Walmart. Because that's all he's fucking good at. Because he's clearly not good at running a fucking airport. He's an incompetent fucking moron. So we finally get deplaned, and we go to the gate for the flight from Washington to O'Hare, and we're sitting there for another 4 fucking hours. We get off the plane at around 10. We don't take off until 2 a.m. Eastern time. And then we finally fucking fly back to Chicago. I didn't get first fucking class, by the way. I didn't get fucking first class. I paid for first fucking class on my flight back to O'Hare, but I didn't get it, So fuck you, United. You're reimbursing me for that too. But because we made it to O'Hare 3 hours after we were supposed to, I'm also entitled to reimbursement for the flight that they already had to reimburse me for, because they canceled the flight within a certain number of days. So they owe us all reimbursement or a rebooking. So they rebooked us, but the flight that they rebooked us on fucking didn't make it in time. So now they owe me money. So basically my plan is I'm going to milk those bastards dry for the inconvenience and all the bullshit, because when all was said and done, I made it home about 13 hours after I was going to. 13, I think almost 14. Because I finally made it home on Monday at around noon. I was supposed to be home from according to the original plan, I was supposed to be home at about like 9 or 10-ish, right? But I made it home at fucking noon. So United Airlines fucking sucks. Washington Dulles fucking sucks. Yeah. And also, so Washington Dulles, that guy, he needs to get fucking sacked. And I've decided to make it my life's fucking mission that I'm going to acquire the United Airlines company, and I'm going to sell it for spare parts. I'm going to make sure that every single employee at United Airlines never works again. Never. Not in the airline industry, not anywhere. And all of United's assets are going to fucking Spirit. And now we'll go to the ad break.
This podcast is sponsored by Amanda Redwine, your no-nonsense talk therapist and parent coach. Serving individuals and couples in both Illinois and Florida for counseling/therapy, as well as worldwide for parent coaching. Amanda's specialty is working with teens and young adults, as well as their family systems. Amanda has extensive experience working with youth who identify on the LGBTQIA+ spectrum. She has also done couples work based on a foundation of the Gottman method. She brings a light, no-nonsense approach to treatment that is approachable and empathetic. She is unflappable and makes her clients comfortable from the very beginning. Find out more at www.amandaredwine.com. That's AMANDAREDWINE.com. Thank you again for sponsoring this episode, and back to the show.
All right, everyone, we're back. Maxwell had to go, but I literally forgot the coolest part of the trip. So this was on our last day. We went on a little zipline tour thing, and then on the way home, I was like, "Hey, by the way, there's like a little bird sanctuary thing." On the way home, and my mom was like, "Oh, all right, fine, let's go." And we went there, and they give you like basically like a little ice cream cone type thing, like a plastic little like ice cream cone type thing. They fill it with bird seed, and you just walk into this like greenhouse type thing, and there's just a shit ton of birds, and they'll like land on your arm and your hand and on the lip of the ice cream truck, and they'll just eat bird seed right out of it. It's super fucking cool. It's so cool. I got so many cool pictures. It was awesome. But yeah, that was my favorite part of the trip, hands down. Yeah, that was my trip, basically. I can't believe I forgot that part. That was the coolest part. But yeah. Hell yeah. I don't know. How was your week? I still haven't listened to your episode all the way through yet. How was your week?
Um, it was nice. We were celebrating my birthday. I'm still getting some stuff ready for school.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I went out to eat. I got some gifts. I have my party coming up here
Mm-hmm.
on Saturday, so that's nice. Looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I heard about that. Um, uh, but yeah, that's cool. 24, you're fucking old ass
Mm,
bitch,
mhm.
ancient fucking fossil. Fucking went to middle school with T Rexes, head ass.
Mhm.
Fucking uh uh fucking witnessed the fucking birth of the universe, Big Bang, head ass.
Mhm.
You're old
Mhm.
and therefore deserve less because of your age.
Mhm.
Yeah, there you go. I'm glad we're on the same page. There we go. I'm glad you understand. You
Mhm.
know, I'm glad I don't have to like explain it to you in great detail and being like, well, we'll see. Due to the curvature of the Earth and the Y chromosome haplogroups, I'm glad I don't have to do that. I'm glad you can just accept that you deserve less because of your age, which is acceptance, radical acceptance. Really, that's what it is. Um, I also started school. Did you start school yet, or is that like next week?
Mm, I started it, but I have like I need to do some more stuff for it. Like I have to download some programs on my computer. Um, and I was doing some stuff that I should have done earlier, like go in person for like my card and things like that. But yeah, it's going.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah,
yeah, classes started at my university, but not at the community college. That's why I'm saying like they like the community college ones start next. Mm, It's like a week difference.
yeah. So I have a really weird schedule.
Hmm.
Um, so I have Monday, Wednesday, Friday off to work on my online classes, and then I have Tuesday at 9:30 to 10:45. Uh, and and then I have a 1 hour 45 minute break, and then I have 12:30 to 1:45, and then a 1 hour and 45 minute break, and then 3:30 to 4:45, and this is on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So it's really weird because the last time I had this schedule, I had 15-minute breaks instead of 45-minute ones, and like it, I honestly preferred that, to be honest. Um, but like with this schedule, if I skip breakfast, I can come home right after, and go eat and shit like that. Um, let the dog out, do a little bit of light work, because it takes me about 15 minutes to get home, 15 minutes to walk the dog, and then I've got about an hour, and I try to leave it. Uh, I try to leave about 30 minutes before my class because it takes me like 10 minutes to get there. I prefer to be early than late. So I can get like 30, 45 minutes worth of work done. So it's like, but it's not enough time to really like get into something, right? Like, you know how when you're like going to work on something, you like, for me at least, I would rather hunker down and work for like 4 hours rather than break it up into like 35-minute segments over like multiple days or multiple times in a day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. I feel like if I was having that schedule, I would just stay on campus because I live too far away from the school to really go home and do all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Well, aren't you like 30 minutes from school?
It's about 25 minutes, but that's no traffic, and it's Houston, so there's always traffic.
Yeah. So I live 10 minutes from school. 15 if there's a train, which I've been leaving later than usual. Leaving class later than usual to go home. Like on Tuesday, I think I left at like 11:30, maybe like 11:20. Because I went and I got my books. I had a couple books on back order that I had to go get. Um, so I had to go pick those up, and then on Thursday, I made the rookie mistake of right when class was about over and we weren't taking notes anymore. I started updating my laptop, and I haven't updated my laptop in a very long time. So it took a long ass time to get updated. So I probably started updating it about 20 minutes before class was over, and it wasn't done until like 11:15, and that was not fun. But the train usually gets here around 11, the one from Chicago. So if it's like there, like people have to like board it and like unboard it and shit like that, and so that takes a while. So luckily I haven't been caught behind a train yet, but I'm sure it's coming one of these days. So I'm not looking forward to that. I Yeah, I'm not a fan of getting caught behind trains. Back in high school, uh where I lived in Indiana, there was a train stop right, or not a train stop, but like a train tracks right before we got on the road that led to my neighborhood. And just about every single week, we had at least one day, if not 2 days, when we were stuck behind a train for like 20 minutes. It was so fucking annoying. Oh my god, it was the most annoying thing in the world. Like, how do you feel about trains, Danny? Are you autistic about trains?
Trains are cool, I guess, but I don't really ever have a problem with trains. There's like a few tracks, but it's never really been. They're not in areas that I go to often, and there's usually never a train there, so I don't really worry about it.
Yeah,
In in front of my neighborhood, well, you might remember,
I
but
kind of do.
my house like lies in like the middle of like two schools.
Mm-hmm.
So certain times of the day, like during the school year, is a little hard to get in and out, but because I
Yeah.
live on a U-turn, it's a little bit easier to find like alternative routes if I just drive a little farther down.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes
Yeah.
I forget, and then I'm like, damn, I didn't mean to join this long line, and then I just try to drive
Yeah.
around it.
Yeah. The main problem with like the train is that it goes straight across the top of town. There is no way to get to school. It is completely cut off from my house by that train track. So if there is a train, you're basically just fucked. And also, if you try to go around it, it would take just as long as fucking waiting. So you just kind of have to sit there and accept it. And that is annoying if you're like, if you make a rookie mistake, like uh going, like you're like, oh, I'll just go to the bathroom at home, right? Like if you gotta hit the can and you get stuck behind a fucking train, it's terrible. It's so bad. Um, because then you're like, you'll get up to the thing, but you're like stuck because somebody will come in behind you, so you can't like do a little illegal Yui and like get out and go someplace to hit the restroom, and that just fucking sucks. Or like, um, yeah, no, I love trains. I'm a big proponent of like rail just because it's like super fucking environmentally friendly, super easy. Um, but it is very inconvenient for people who need cars or to walk past it. That is the big fucking downside is trains are like that. So that's why I like subways. When you put like the train under the ground, or if you put it on like an elevated track right above the street, doesn't affect walking or cars or anything. And that's what I like about it. So I'm wondering if maybe someday all trains are going to be like elevated or something, right? So like they're going over your heads and the people on the ground don't have to like worry about it. That's what I would like eventually, you know, in the far distant fucking future, in order for like cars and trains to like be able to coexist a little bit better. Um yeah, that's my thing, because it's like obviously the United States is not nearly dense enough for for there to be like a carless society like Europe is. Like Europe very much does not need cars, like the majority of it, right? Like they have a lot of train systems. They've got uh and they've got very small countries, right? With very dense cities. The United States is not like that. The United States is about the same size as Europe, but with like 1/3 the density. Something like 93% of all land in the United States is undeveloped. So it's like impossible to get fucking rail or like things that are like not cars to work, right? Like if you're a cyclist, right? Like if you want to ride your bike to work, that basically only works if you are in a really small town like the one I'm in, or if you are in a big city like Chicago, New York, Houston, LA, that sort of thing. Uh, and then also if you live in one of those cities, your bike's gonna get fucking stolen. Like that's just a fact of life. They don't make bike locks better than they make thieves. They make very very good thieves in these cities. It's honestly impressive how good the thieves are in these cities. But yeah, so that's just kind of annoying that until the United States becomes as dense as Europe, which is going to take hundreds of years, because you know Europe has been like building basically urban areas for literal millennia, right? There have been like basically modern style European cities in Europe for like almost 3,000 years, right? Like ancient Greece had them, like Athens and Sparta. Like they didn't have cars and shit, but they had, you know, highways, roads, dense urban cities and shit like that in ways that the Native Americans did not build. So when the Europeans came over and colonized, they did not have that kind of like infrastructure that the Europeans had built over thousands and thousands of years. So we are operating on the back foot if we want that kind of like high density type living. So we need those fucking cars and shit, because you know, if people want to go from uh Germany to the Netherlands, right? That's a 3-hour car trip. If you want to go from fucking uh the top of Illinois to the bottom, that's a 6-hour car trip at least. If I'm counting my math correctly, it's like yeah, at least if you went from directly the top to directly the bottom, it would be like 6 hours in a car. It's fucking ridiculous. Our fucking states are bigger than most European countries. Like one of the larger European countries, the fucking UK, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know that the UK and Ireland can both fit in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And still Texas would be like 30 or 40% bigger. It's crazy. Texas is fucking huge. So, yeah, I don't know. That's just the shitty part about living here, is that I mean, some people say it's shitty. Some people say it's great. I think it's a mixed bag, where it's like we're not very dense, so we're very reliant on cars, but all the nature and all the like undeveloped land and stuff, like that's a part of our identity, man. Like the you know, oh beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, you know, that type of shit. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's a part of our identity and shit, man. So it's like, you know, do we sacrifice that part of our identity to become more environmentally friendly and more like Europe? I don't know. I Yeah, it's kind of a conundrum. So yeah, I don't know. I think that's really really the problem. But one of the big proposal solutions that I've seen for a variety of issues is, you know how like where you live is basically like the suburbs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a whole bunch of houses and they're all spread out, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you built like one 10-story 10 apartment building, you would be getting rid of 100 homes, right? Like nobody would need 100 more homes if you built that kind of building where you're at. And it would be like huge, but you'd be like really condensing the amount of people into one building, and it really makes it a lot easier. So a lot of people in this movement want to de-zone single family houses because I don't know how involved you are in like real estate, but the reason why you can only build certain things in certain places is the city council or like the local municipal rules say this area is zoned for single family houses. This is zoned for condos. This is zoned for commercial use, right? So people are trying to get rid of single family zoning so that way developers can just buy up houses, knock them down, and build like apartment complexes on them. And like because there'll be more housing, it'll be cheaper. And so like there's going to be less homelessness because more people are going to be able to afford housing. And I don't know, I think it's a good idea, but it's like it's going to be expensive in the short term and like it will eventually pay off, but it's going to be a lot of work and a lot of uh a lot of like prep time because these like a fucking 10-story building is a lot to build, right? Like um it's genuinely surprising how we were able to build like the Empire State Building in like such a short amount of time. And that still took like what 10-20 years. And like yeah, so buildings like that, you know, even with our modern technology, they take a long fucking time to do, right? Like uh obviously you remember the tragedy that occurred on September 11th, 2001 in New York City,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And then so after they knocked it down, they knocked down the two towers, right? Um, about 5 years later, they started building. This was in April 2006. They started building the replacement, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's called Freedom Tower. Um, it's the tallest building in North America and the Western Hemisphere. Um, and they started building in 2006 and they topped it out in 2013. So it took a little over 7 years to build that gigantic fucking building. So obviously not all apartment complexes have to be the tallest building in the fucking Western Hemisphere, but they take a long time to build and it's a lot faster to build like single family homes. You can knock a single family home out in about 4 months. If you know what you're doing, if you're really motivated, you can build a single family house in about 4 months. That's not the case when you're building these like big ass buildings. So I don't know. It's difficult. It's a lot of work, and there's a lot of people who are like, I don't want these apartment buildings in my backyard. I like living in the suburbs. Are you one of those people?
I well, not getting into like the financial part of it. I'd like the option to like just have a house one day and not have to worry about the city coming to me like that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
like kind of being a little far away from the city, but if the city kind of just gets bigger and bigger towards me, I kind of lose that comfortability I had before, you know?
yeah, and that's gonna be one of the big issues is single family homes and like even like townhouses and shit like that are not environmentally friendly at all. And one of the biggest things that we can do in order to counteract climate change is to knock down all these houses, all these single family houses, move all these people into these big like apartment towers, and then letting the forest reclaim the areas where they used to live. Right, like that would be a big counteractor of climate change, but it would take so much effort and work. And that's not to say that it's not going to be worth it, but it's going to be a lot. And it's a lot of commitment for people who, who like the identity of their area, I guess. And people who don't want their shit to change. Basically, they don't want to fucking lose their house. They don't want to lose the nest egg that they're sitting on to like
Well,
move into an apartment.
I'm like, if I had the ability to get a house, I would understand it, but getting a house is like kind of an impossible thing to achieve for you know, for the younger people here, or
I mean,
not even
speak
just
for
for the younger
yourself.
people, for like the
Yeah.
newer people.
Speak for yourself. I'm younger than you. I got a house.
Yeah, but you have special circumstances compared to, I would say, like my population of people that people in
Poor
my,
people?
not just poor people, but I would say like the more average situation that people usually find themselves in. You're like a special circumstance.
I would say that there's normal people and there's poor people. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Not
I think you're.
necessarily, right? I feel like I fall in like the majority.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that one, dog.
At
Um.
least, of people my age, right?
I guess I'd have to look at your, um, income and then grade it the on the scale. But like, you,
Maybe,
well,
well, at least for my area. Like I'm sure it's like dependent on area as well.
mm-hmm.
Like I know a lot of people in my area that are around my age that, we all had like similar upbringings. So maybe my area is just more poor than like other areas, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
That's part of it as well. But I do know that it is a bigger issue than just my area, and I do know that you are in a much more fortunate position than a lot of people would be. So it's a little bit probably that my area is not particularly great, and it's part of the issue that you are a special circumstance. But if you were living it, I feel like you'd probably see it more.
I mean, I'm glad I don't have to, because poor people suck.
You say so, man. I guess.
Fucking, I don't know. I mean, I was kind of going over this with our friend Kat last night. We were having a discussion about the way certain people see the world, and there's this idea of like there's a lot of poor people who turn to crime, and that's uh people start out like they grow up in like an unfortunate situation, right? Like maybe they don't have a father, maybe they're in a single parent household, maybe they grow up poor, maybe they grow up abused, maybe they grow up hungry, right? But and it's okay to feel bad for that child, but when they like grow up and they like join a gang, they start like peddling drugs to kids, they start uh like hurting people, stealing from people, killing people, then it's like yeah, you can feel bad for them as like the kid, but like as an adult you have to be like, that behavior is not okay. No matter what your upbringing is, you can't do that. And with certain people,
I feel like it depends on the type of crime, to me at least, right? Because some crimes like mm, um like murder and like assaults and things like that are like actively harming others. I feel like I can't, those are unacceptable no matter what, right?
mhm,
But I understand, like, I guess the social pressure and like the reasons people might turn to like joining bad groups and doing bad things like leading up to that sort of thing, right? I feel like there's people that can get caught in those bad situations that are not bad people necessarily, but I think that if you're willing to go that extra step to like the bigger crimes, then it's yeah, like you can't justify that.
But like here's my thing, right? There's two there people see it as like a contradiction where it's like you could feel bad for the kid that grew up into this adult, but you can still be like uh damning the adult and being like, this is not okay, you need to be punished. Some people, I would say, Maxwell falls into this where he feels bad for the kid and can't damn the adult because like, oh, but it was so hard for when he was a kid. You can't blame them for this. But like at the end of the day, right? If you end up treating criminals as if they have no agency, like, oh no, you're just a product of your upbringing, you can't help it. If you give them this helplessness mentality, they are going to remain helpless. If you give them the accountability mindset, if you hold them accountable, then they will eventually learn that accountability mindset. At least most of them. Some people won't. Some people already have this internalized helplessness and can't move past their issues and can't become a better person. They just say, well, my circumstances were bad, so I guess I have to commit crimes and murder people and do drugs. And it's you can't treat people like that. You can't tell people that it's not their fault that they turned out to be a fuck up. Okay? You can't. And that's probably one of the big reasons why we are where we are right now. Like all the crime, all the gangs, all that bullshit happens because we tell people who grow up in these bad situations, hey, you're a fault of the system, nothing you've done has ever been bad, so basically keep on committing crimes and hurting other people, dude. It's great, it's such a cool thing that you're doing, and it's fucked up, and I don't fuck with it, right? And you growing up in the situation that you did and having the events that have happened to you, I think you would probably agree with that, right?
Yeah, like to some extent, I definitely see how things can push people to that. And I'm not as unfortunate as I feel like a lot of people that usually end up gangs are. Um, but there is always some accountability that needs to be there, right? You can't just completely blame it on circumstances, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sure, it might be more difficult to find your way out of those circumstances, right? And the easy idea might be gang, might be this, might be that, right? But those that comes with consequences as well. So you
It
gotta,
does.
if that's something that you like end up deciding you want to do, you gotta accept the consequences for that if they ever come to you, right?
Yeah, if you're gonna talk the talk, you got to be able to walk the walk. And you know, it,
For some people, like that sort of lifestyle is worth the consequences though, because it's better than the alternative to them. And I feel like that's kind of part of the issue is that they never had the resources, they never had the opportunities to kind of like see that there was a better way.
I also think that there's kind of a race to the bottom mentality as well. Are you familiar with that concept?
What is it?
So it's like, um, it's one of the main reasons why I am like a big gun owner guy, right? Um, like how, and I think I've sort of imparted part of this mentality onto you, where like the bad guys have guns, the Nazis, the fucking white nationalists, and the gang members, the criminals, they all have guns, right? So we need to have guns to protect ourselves. I would love to live in a world where we wouldn't have to, where we don't have to do this, but unfortunately, it's not the world that we live in. So we have to play the game in order to like actually, you know, survive, right? And
Mhm.
um with like gang shit, like growing up in a bad neighborhood, and like there's a lot of gang shit going on in your neighborhood, you know, you can choose to be a part of it or not, but if other people are already in it, then like it doesn't really matter what you do. So everyone is like, well, you know, if I can't or I guess not everyone, but like a lot of the people who join are like, well, it was here before me, it'll probably be here after me, and I can either join with it or fight against it, but either way it's still going to happen, so I might as well join it. And because so many people do that, the system keeps perpetuating. But if like people don't see the power of the individual, people see this victim mentality where it's like, well, I'm just an individual, I can't change anything, but you can. If enough individuals change, then the system can change. So more people need to reject drugs, need to reject gangs, need to reject like crime, and they need to actually work on like building their communities.
I think that to what you're saying is partially true for sure. That like people kind of see things like that as beyond them. You know, like their contribution. It doesn't really matter as much to it because it's like already a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think that kind of like what I was saying before, where it's just the easy option for them, right?
It is. It's like the
Be,
if you
be,
can't beat them, join them type thing.
well, not because that, right? But because the alternatives are either they seem like a lot harder to them because they weren't given the they weren't prepared for it as much by their upbringing, right? That's why I feel like people that are in much more fortunate upbringings don't have that problem because they get all those opportunities to see, and they get all those opportunities to do more than people in less fortunate situations. So they just turn to what they know, and what they know usually is what's easiest, and that's what's easiest.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. I think there's definitely uh I think there's definitely truth to that, but I also think
Uh,
again, like it is an issue of if you can't beat them, join them. It's like it is the easy option. It's still there, and a lot of people think if I go in and join it, it doesn't make much difference. Like I'm not gonna be the straw that breaks the camel's back, but you're still adding straw to the camel's back, and it's not. It's if more straws realized what they were doing and stopped and hopped off and got clean and started working to actually clear off the rest of the straw, the camel would be walking a hell of a lot faster. But I don't know. Again, it's this learned helplessness. It's that's the concept. That's the term that we use in psychology. It's this learned helplessness where people they get this idea in their heads that they're victims, and instead of waiting to improve their own lives, they sit there and they wait for their lives to be improved for them. And it sucks. It sucks for them, and I feel sorry for them. But at the end of the day, they've got to move on. They've got to pick themselves up and move on. But I don't know. I don't know. It sucks. It sucks for everyone. It sucks for the people who aren't involved in it. It sucks for the people who are involved in it because, yeah, maybe you're going to be making some money from, selling drugs or whatever the fuck, whatever uh your role is, but it's dangerous. People get killed a lot. Uh most mass shootings. So the government uses a definition of mass shooting that the media also uses but frames very differently. A mass shooting to the government is just a shooting in which two or more people all right, sorry, three or more, I believe. Three or more people including the perpetrator get injured, right? So the vast vast majority of mass shootings are gang related. And so that's like it's a fucking dangerous lifestyle, and a lot of drug dealers, if you look at there's this book called Freakonomics. A lot of drug dealers still live with their moms. They're not making that much money. They're not becoming a fucking kingpin like Scarface. They're
Well,
yeah,
yeah, if you're selling drugs in poor neighborhoods, it's not like money is just going to enter that neighborhood and enter your pockets. It's still going to be poor people not being able to afford drugs, and you're just going to have to take what they give you type of thing, right?
exactly. Fucking
And
yeah.
even if they did make a lot of money, I don't know how they would realistically like you know, uh like tell people where they got that money on like tax forms and things like that if they
Yes.
ever wanted to buy a house.
That's how they got Al Capone, actually. They got him for taxes. The IRS says if you make money from illegal means, you have to report it on your taxes. That is an actual thing. Fucking literally the actual Joker has to report all of the money that he makes from crime to the IRS. There's literally like an actual there's
You
an
see
episode.
that seems like one of those things where it's like a trick, right? It's like some sort of trap, you know? It's like, oh man, you gotta report your stolen earnings. It's like, I don't know. It sounds like a way to just get people to confess to doing crime, but I don't know.
Uh no, it's really not that like man, I don't know. It's so hard because like fixing this issue is going to be so hard because everybody fucking it takes more than one individual. It starts with one. That's what I'll say. It starts with one, and you could be the first one. If you're in a bad fucking situation, if you're in with the wrong crowd, it starts with one. Like, don't. Every journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And I know everybody has heard that. Everybody can recall that statement to you. But like, if you really understand it, it's true. Every every single thing that happens needs to start somewhere, and you could be the start. So fucking make the world better on your own. Fucking do something small. Do something fucking small. Like, I don't know, if you're hooked on drugs, you know, maybe go like start weaning yourself off of them, right? Maybe go talk to someone, maybe go get yourself clean, right? If you're you know, like if you're in with the wrong crowd, if you're doing that, maybe start distancing yourself from them, right? See them less. See them one day less a week, right? That sort of thing. Keep doing that. And the more you do it, the more other people will do it. And the world will get fucking better. But you can't have this learned helplessness. You can't be like, "Oh, well, shit's bad for me, so I guess I have to be bad as well." You can't do that. Everybody has to start somewhere. So, I don't know. Can we take a fucking commitment to we'll do something good this week? I don't know. What do you think? What do you want to do this week?
I struggle doing, just what I have to do. So if I can get that done, I'll be happy. So we'll see though.
I mean, you've got to do something, right? Again, everybody has to do something extra because you can't just be, "Oh, this is what I have to do," and that's it. You got to put in a little extra, and as soon as you start putting in a little extra, and you work on that, and you like work that into your schedule, eventually you can start adding on a little more because you're used to it. So you can keep going more and more out of your comfort zone. So for me, right? For me, tonight, here's my commitment. There's like this big um like block party thing for the town that I'm in, for like my school, right? And normally I would sit that out and I would like work or like play video games or do something like that. But I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
get my work done in literally right after we're done recording this, and I'm gonna actually go, and some of my friends are going, and I'm gonna go and I'm gonna see them, and I'm gonna be social, and I'm gonna have a nice night connecting with people, because that's really all it is, honestly. Like the thing that you have to do, really, it doesn't even have to be so big as like starting getting off drugs. just like talk to someone, make a new fucking friend. Honestly, like that's the shit that we need. Like fucking go make eye contact with someone and like smile, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that. Have you noticed that like a lot of times when you see someone back in the day, we used to like smile, and nowadays we don't really do that anymore.
Um, I feel like it's person to person. I feel like I still smile at people. I don't know. I'm thing
I've
is
actually
like
been seeing it more.
thing is I go to work. I see people. I no, I'm gonna start going to school and I want to see people. I'm gonna start. Recently within the last month, I've been going to like this like public volleyball like meetup, and I see people there all the time. I'm meeting lots of new regulars. So that's nice. So I
That's enough. Honestly, you go out there and you meet new people. That's something.
y-
I don't know how you're playing volleyball considering that you're like 5'6", but go you.
it's beginners volleyball.
Oh,
It's
did they lower the net? Is it like playing? Is it like playing volleyball but on a tennis net?
um no. I might not be able to like spike the ball very well, but I'm just not the person that's gonna be spiking on the team. That's all right. I'm really good. I'm getting better at like setting it and like passing it when I need to. That way, other people who are a little bit taller can do that for me.
I
We all
mean,
we all play a part of the team.
and you know what? I think that's a beautiful place to go to the big red button. Are you ready for the big red button?
Sure.
Okay. Um, here's the big red button. You still get to live in a house because I know you said you wanted to live in a house, but
Mm.
you are surrounded on all sides by at least 20-story skyscrapers.
Mm, let
So it's
me
like
tell
up
you.
basically.
Yeah, I was thinking that. I was like, that'd be badass. Why not?
You don't get much of a good view. I'll be honest with you.
I don't feel like people buy the house for the view. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it'd be even better, right? If I had like a little front lawn, back lawn situation too. That way, like, while I'm just chilling, like in my front lawn, my back lawn, it's just a fenced in area with just buildings all around. Mm. I think that being the only person with a house would be a cool thing.
Yeah, maybe. I would probably do it. So the main reason why I didn't go into the dorms or I didn't get an apartment is just because this job is loud, right? Like,
Yeah. The main reason I didn't do it was because financially I'm already struggling.
hmm but I am
So I don't think
getting a
that's the
roommate
reason.
starting tomorrow. So I'm fine. I'm back to having a roommate here pretty soon, which is going to be very interesting.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I'll see how that kind of like works out and stuff. But yeah, it's gonna be weird. I'm really interested to see how it turns out. So hopefully next week I'll give you guys a little update about that. But yeah, I would also choose that honestly. I think it would be kind of badass to be like the fucking uh uh yeah, that would be cool. I would love that. But
And imagine like all the people you would make mad, and you could be
yeah,
happy and knowing that other people's days are ruined because of you.
yeah. Like people could keep making me offers on my house and I just wouldn't accept it. That'd be awesome.
Exactly. And every time you just get to smile about it in your head, you're like, I did that. I made that other
Exactly.
person mad.
Exactly. Yes. Uh but yeah, I mean, you know what? It is it happens, you know. Like people there are real people like that who won't fucking sell their house for shit. But do you know what happens to them?
Um, they get old. I don't know.
No. the fucking government buys them out. It's called eminent domain. It's in the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution. I think it's the Fifth Amendment. I really hope it is. I'm gonna feel really stupid if it's in like the sixth or seventh. But the way eminent domain works is they have to the government can buy whatever property you have, any sort of property you have. They can buy it from you, but they have to give you the exact amount that it's worth.
I
So
think
like,
that
yeah,
I don't like that policy, and I feel like I don't know the circumstances where they could use that policy. I feel like they can't just buy your house for no reason. They have to have a decent reason, right? And
um,
I've seen a couple of different circumstances where people have just been really stubborn.
it has to be for public use, but they can absolutely take whatever you want.
Yeah, but
Like public utility easements. Like if they were gonna put in a new water line, they absolutely can go into your property, dig up your shit, and lay pipes in it. They 100% can do that. They'll pay you the exact amount that it's worth, but they absolutely can do it, and you can do nothing about it.
yeah, that kind of sucks.
No, it's good. It's good. Like, think about nobody would be able to have like power because some fucking annoying asshole would be like, "No, I'm not letting you put power lines in my backyard." And so then like a million houses down, like it would be like super expensive because they've had to go all the way around this guy's property because the government isn't allowed to buy it out from them. Eminent domain is a good thing. It is absolutely a good thing. If somebody's private ownership is getting in the way of public use, the government absolutely should be able to take that shit and pay them the fair value because they have to pay the exact value of what they're taking, but they are able to take it and they're able to actually use it for the good of everyone else. And I think that's good.
I think that maybe that applies more to like bigger properties, right? But if you're just like a house and like a modest sized yard or whatever, right? I think that uh unless there's like a really, really, really good reason, there's almost no reason why they can't just go around, right?
If
Because
it's cheaper for them to go around, they'll do it
no, I'm
because they
saying
have
like
to pay you. They
y-
have to buy the land that they're using for
I
whatever this is.
and if like I said, like I feel like that only really applies if you have like really big property, and if you have really big property, I don't think that they would need to.
I have power lines in my backyard.
And that's what I'm saying. I don't think that they would need to like take your whole property if they can just build on it. You know what
No,
I mean?
but they have to pay for easements. Like they're not buying up the whole property, but they have to buy up a portion, and they give you just compensation. They give you the exact value of what they're paying, but they absolutely have the legal privilege to do that if it benefits the public.
Yeah. Okay. Well, things like that I feel like aren't that bad, right? But just taking my house and tearing it down for, I guess, I
They
feel
could
like
do that to
I feel like
one of the things they can do that for is preserving the natural beauty. So if they wanted to demolish your house and build a little playground there, they absolutely could do that. 100%.
yeah. See, I don't like that idea. That seems. I feel like
But
I get like having to run power lines or putting pipes down, right? Things like that where I still get to keep my house, but like they just have to work on the area around my house or like my property, right? But destroying my house for any reason seems silly. Like I feel like maybe there is a reason that I can't think of that would be justifiable, but most reasons in my mind I feel like are not good enough reasons.
don't build a house in a place where it would be advantageous for the government to get rid of it. Then that's the fucking moral of the story. Is if you took civics class, you know that the government has the power to do this. So you fucking avoid. You strategize around it, boss. That's if you can't do the like I said, if you talk the talk, you got to be able to walk the walk. So
Yes
yeah.
and no, but that's, I guess, whatever.
Anywho, I think it's time for us to go. Um, we would like to thank dog. Don't growl. I'm trying to do my outro here. Um, but anywho, I would like to thank Justin Connor, our long-standing patron of 2 straight years this month. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much. We really appreciate the support. Keeps the lights on. Keeps us putting episodes out every week. I almost thought we weren't gonna have one last week, but you know what? They actually managed. I when I say they, I think Danny gets most of the credit for that. He put out a 90-minute episode last week, and I mean, he didn't put it out. He recorded it. He recorded it. Okay, he scheduled it and he recorded it, and then I actually did everything. But you know what? He still did something, and he did the majority of the something. So he gets a little bit of credit for that. There you go. Kudos. But that wouldn't be possible without the patrons. So if you wanna help support us, if you want a cool shout out in the description, head on over to patreon.com/iihs podcast. We've got early access to part 1 of every episode if you join the supporter tier. But if you join the influential and successful tier for $5, you get to listen to all of our episodes early and ad free as soon as they're done being edited. So you could be listening to this on like Friday afternoon instead of Tuesday morning. And it's like so much faster, right? And you don't have to skip through ads. It's great. So also do that. And then also remember, we also do our movie commentaries over there, which, given that I'm on a 2 days on, 3 days off work week schedule, we probably have a lot more time to watch movies. So we're going to be hitting you guys with more of those. So, and we've already got a whole bunch of really good ones. We did the original Star Wars trilogy, we did Robots, we did The Rock with Big Cat Scott Henson, rest in peace. Yeah, we've got plenty of movie commentaries over there that you can listen to with your membership. You can even listen to the Die Hard commentary where Danny fucking fell asleep through Die Hard.
I got the gist.
I'm gonna make you die hard.
I got the gist. I get it. He
I'm
went
gonna
in, he died hard, and then, Christmas.
I'm gonna
Got
give you a pill concoction of Viagra and cyanides. That way you die hard, you little bitch. But yeah, yep. So patreon.com/iihs podcast. Um, and then if you want to stay up to date with us on our social media, we use Threads, Instagram, and
X.
YouTube. We do not use X. Sometimes I tweet on Twitter.
X?
I tweet on
On
Twitter.
X? You zeet on X?
Kill yourself. Kill yourself. Actually, if you go by the Chinese pronunciation, X makes a sh sound. So actually, I sheet on shitter.
There you go. Oh no, it's on sh, because it's just the X.
No, it's on shitter.
No, it's X.
If I go to twitter.com, what will that give me? Twitter.
It redirects you, but it's still X.com. Don't worry.
If it's twitter.com, then it's twitter.com. I don't know what to tell you.
We type in Twitter, but it brings you to X. It just redirects. Don't worry.
If I type in "you're gay" and it brings up a picture of your face, does that mean that you're gay?
Well, it means that somebody paid a decent amount of money in order to put that search result there. I don't know who it is, but it wasn't me. Somebody wants to spread that news.
News. So it's not a rumor. It's a fact. All right, you heard it here first, folks. Danny is
Not
gay.
all news. Not
Danny
all
is
news
gay.
is
Danny is
facts.
gay. Danny is gay. Danny is gay. We are at IIHS Podcast on YouTube, Threads, and Instagram. Go over there. Yep. And then also, I posted this, but I wanna bring it up again before we end this episode. We're at 5,075 downloads. We hit 5,000 downloads this month, and I can't thank you guys enough. I'm so. Did you just walk into a tornado or something?
What?
You like blew into your microphone.
Oh, I guess it just got positioned weirdly.
Yeah, but we hit 5,000 downloads this month. Isn't that crazy?
Mhm.
That's fucking incredible, you guys. I'm really excited about that. I can't believe we've managed that. That's literally insane to me. I'm completely fucking flabbergasted. Thank you all so much for that. We really appreciate it. And let's get to 10K. Let's just keep going. We're not going to stop at 5,000. Let's get to 10K. You know, let's see how long it takes. Hopefully not fucking 2 and a third years, you know? let's try and hit 10K in, what do you think? 10K in a year and a half?
Sure. I
So
feel like that, yeah.
So 18 months from now is gonna be you add a year, that'll be August 2025, and then you add 6 months. So that'll be February 2026. We want to have 10K by then. So yeah, get on it. Let's do it. Let's see if we can't hit 10K by then. But yeah, thank you all, everyone who listens to the show, whether you just started, whether you've been with us from the beginning. We really thank you. We really appreciate it. And yeah, thank you all very much for listening. My name is Kael. I've been incredibly influential.
I'm Danny. I've been highly successful.
And yeah, we'll talk to you guys next week.